Choose your own reality culture is pervading every corner of American life. Choose your own reality. If you want to believe that the pro-Trump riots of January 6th were instigated by the feds, you can choose a show that claims that is true. You can choose a TV star who claims it's real. If you want to believe the NSA is reading your favorite TV star's emails, go right ahead. He claims it's true. The NSA denies it, of course, but for Tucker Carlson's fans, that's just further proof of the plot. Carlson is a conspiracy monger, but he's far from the first. As my colleague Oliver Darcy pointed out this week, Carlson is sounding more and more like InfoWars host and notorious conspiracy theorist Alex Jones. You can hear the similarities.
The NSA has been reading our emails.
It's not that I think the government spies on me. It's admitted that they do it.
It is a lie to say there are no risks. There are risks in everything, including in getting a vaccine.
Everybody's got family that got killed or got sick from a vaccine.
So FBI operatives were organizing the attack on the Capitol on January 6th, according to government documents.
It is overwhelming, the evidence that criminal elements of the federal government provocateured and staged January 6th.
All right, Oliver Darcy is back with me. I think the sound speaks for itself. Is it a stretch to say that Tucker Carlson is the new Alex Jones?
It's not a stretch, Brian. Tucker Carlson is the new Alex Jones. If you watch Tucker Carlson's program and you watch Alex Jones's program, they might differ a little bit in antics and in the way they deliver their message, but that message to viewers is consistent, and it's pretty identical. Whether it's talking about vaccine conspiracy theories, false flag conspiracy theories, deep state conspiracy theories, the messages that Tucker Carlson and Alex Jones are sending are the same. They seem to see eye to eye on the biggest issues that they talk about every single night.
Do we know anything about their relationship or whether they have one? Because let me play two back-to-back sound bites. One is of Tucker sympathizing with Jones, but the other one has Alex Jones basically saying, hey, yeah, I'm going to let Tucker present this January 6th conspiracy theory first. I'm going to let Tucker present the inside job theory because he's going to do a great job with it. And when I heard that, I thought, are these two guys in cahoots? Like, are they friends? Do they communicate? Let's listen to these two sound bites and then we'll talk about it.
I made the decision not to get into this until it broke on Tucker because I thought he'd do a better job than I did. He did. He did a great job in 15 minutes.
Why do we laugh at Alex Jones again? Sincere question.
Are they bros? What do we know about the relationship?
It does sound like they're talking to each other, right, Brian? Look, you don't have to take it from us. Just listen to that clip you played of Tucker Carlson. He's basically saying that he doesn't think that that Alex Jones's views are out there, that they're crazy. Evidently, he thinks that they're legitimate and should be debated, and he's bringing them up on his own show. And Brian, this matters because these far-right conspiracy theories, they used to be confined to the InfoWars section on the internet. You used to have to seek them out. I'm not that old, but I remember when the Republican Party and Fox News mocked Alex Jones and said, that guy is crazy, we're not going to touch that sort of stuff. But now, Fox's face is effectively Alex Jones. The de facto leader of the Republican Party is touting the same stuff that Jones touts on his show.
And Fox remains silent about what would be, if true, an abuse of power. If the NSA is actually reading Tucker's emails, then that's really disturbing. But for some reason, Fox hasn't condemned the NSA. They haven't demanded an investigation. They haven't called for congressional inquiry. Like, Fox hasn't said anything. It's like they don't believe him. All right, let me bring in Sarah Vischer of Axios back into the conversation. Sarah, Carlson's ratings remain very high, but he's down compared to last year, just like every cable news show is down compared to last year. And you wrote this week about a quote-unquote boring news cycle dealing a blow to partisan media. What stands out to you from the data that you found for Axios?
Yeah, Brian, usually when a new administration takes over, the opposition media, so the media that represents the other ideology, explodes because they have so much that they want to say to sort of take down the new administration. Well, that's not happening this time. This time around, the opposition media, which is sort of the far-right media, is seeing some declines in engagement. Now, year over year, some outlets are still doing okay, meaning that they're bigger now than they were this time last year. But they're far, far smaller than they were when President Biden first took took office, which suggests they just don't have a lot to grab onto at this point. Now, one thing I want to point out is that you're also seeing declines on the left. Far left media is also not getting so much engagement. It could just suggest that partisan media does not have a big audience right now.
Interesting. Meanwhile, Trump keeps having these Saturday night events or speeches or rallies. Newsmax and OAN carry them live. Fox does not. In some cases, Oliver, Newsmax is getting a big ratings bump. Not huge. It's not like it's not 5-10 million people, but there is a kind of a base audience for Trump's events, and Fox is not airing them, which is notable. Here's a clip from Trump's rally that last night that, to me, it's like the moment where the magician reveals how he does his tricks. He reveals how he pulls the rabbit out of his hat. This is what Trump said at the rally.
They said today, I heard, and there's a word, disinformation. It's called if you say it enough and keep saying it, just keep saying it, they'll start to believe you. We can't let that happen.
Wait, Oliver, did he just give up the whole game?
Yeah, that's exactly what Trump obviously does. He repeats and repeats and repeats falsehoods, and eventually it's difficult for the media to fact check him because you fact check him once when he first makes a claim, again and again and again, but it becomes difficult when you repeat disinformation so many times to fact check it, and it just becomes sort of like a state of fact in this alternate universe that Trump leads.
Back to real news now. Politico has a story with 22 anonymous sources about Kamala Harris, about dysfunction inside the vice president's office. Of course, there was pushback from the White House, but 22 anonymous sources. Sarah, this reminded me of the Trump years when we had all those stories almost every week about chaos in the White House with 20 or 30 or 40 sources. But I think it's important to note those stories are still being reported out when reporters find evidence of dysfunction.
Absolutely. I think that folks on the right would argue that there's some sort of disparity between how reporters are covering the Biden administration and how they covered the Trump administration. In reality, reporters, especially those at CNN, Caitlin Collins is a great example of this, have been really adamant about pressing the Biden administration with tough questions when they haven't been as transparent with the press. The same thing is happening when you see that Politico story. They are putting pressure on this administration, in this case, Vice President Kamala Harris's office, to be more transparent about what's going on. Is there chaos? Is there not? And so it kind of pours cold water on the argument from the right that the mainstream media isn't covering this administration with as much rigor as they did the Trump administration.
Yeah, and then Jen Psaki was at the podium saying she doesn't like to comment on anonymously sourced reports. But Sarah, let's both be honest. On both of our beats, people demand anonymity. This is a constant daily issue, whether in media or politics or business. Anonymity is incredibly common, unfortunately.
Yes, it is. But I will say this. There's a numbers game here, Brian. I mean, you're not going to go out with one anonymous source. But if you have 22 sources that are coming to you, even if anonymously, that carries a lot more weight than maybe just one or two. Now, obviously, you want to strive to get people on the record, but Politico is a reputable outlet. And so if they say 22 people have come to them not putting their name forward, I mean, to me, that holds enough water to potentially think that's true.